So just moving in a sunk posture. Yeah. So your root is just a part of you that wants to be close to the ground, close to the ground and in the ground. Yeah. So sinking and relaxing, I'm dropping down. So there's a feeling that you're sort of letting a weight down into the leg. And my teacher, who was always looking to find sort of the alternative viewpoint. So the Chinese, when they talk about a root, they talk about getting into the ground, like a root of a plant. Yeah, so something in my foot is going down into the ground. But for him, he felt it more as the ground coming up into him. So as he sank onto the ground, something would come up, yeah? Something would slip up his body. And that's just like, they both belong together. If you release down into the ground, then the ground will also come up into you. This is that Taoist balance, yeah? So if I get into the ground by opening up, then the ground will also come up into me. So it's sort of, it's you know, when we do that one on the floor with the hands, and you're just feeling the ground coming up the arm. It's the same thing here. So as you put your weight onto the leg, just feel the ground sort of coming up the leg. So the leg is filling up with the hardness of the ground, if you like. So something is coming up my body, and it comes at least up to here. The last time I asked John, the last time we discussed a route, it was in Blakeney, so about 2005. I said to him, where do you feel your root? And he just tapped the top of his head. Because for him, he was so sunk that the ground had come all the way up to here. And so it felt to him like he was the ground, he was in the ground. Yeah. So, but it all starts, the root starts with you wanting to get down. Of you being willing to just get into your legs. Okay. So you just keep it light. So let's just keep it light today. Yeah, as a rule of thumb, if you want to keep it light, then just work more from the front of the foot. If you want to make it heavy, which you will also need to do, then you work more from the heel. So here, if you can work with your heels off the ground, then first of all, it will take you down. But it will also make it very light. Okay. And now just bouncing. So just come off the heels. So just be on the front of your foot. It feels quite unstable, which is a good sign. So this is your down chin, and the legs. The legs should feel like they're just coming out from the sides and then going down. So my legs are, so we normally think of the legs as being something that pushes us up from the ground. So in Tai Chi, we have to think the opposite. The legs are something that pulls me down to the ground. So my feet are grabbing the ground and trying to pull me down. So the feeling is that this muscle is supporting your weight, but this muscle is actually moving your weight. Yeah? Because this is the muscle that's bending the leg. The hamstring is bending the leg. And it's by bending the leg that I actually get down. Yeah? So when I pull myself down, then this is the muscle that's working. So this is what we want to try and feel. And it's actually really difficult to actually get the hamstrings to kick in when you're working them both together like this. Yeah. So you have to try and tense these muscles at the back in order. So just imagine someone's holding you up, or you can imagine there's no gravity. And your feet are just stuck to the ground, and you want to pull your body down, or even that you're stuck on the ceiling, it's all upside down. And so you pull yourself down into the legs. So you're not just lowering yourself, you're not just allowing gravity, you're not just slowly releasing these so that gravity can pull you down. You're actively pulling yourself towards the floor. Yeah. So you're pulling. The feeling is that you're trying to pull the ground upwards, but obviously the ground won't move. So you move downwards, and then here you can just push up. And again, just stay on the balls of the feet. So we're just working without the heels on the ground. So it's difficult, you're liable to fall over. If you fall over, that's fine. Just pick yourself up. So I'm pulling myself down. That's it. So as you go down, the feeling is that the knees are coming up. Yeah? Okay. So now let's just so again, from the front of the foot, so when you're working from the front of the foot, that you've got the spring in the foot added to the spring of the leg. So it just feels a lot lighter than when we're using the heel. And again, active knees. So the knees want to fly up. So the knees of the heart. So the heart wants to lift and the knees want to lift because they're connected. So just the sacrum is heavy, that's hanging down. So you're sinking down the spine, but your knees are coming up in front of you and to the side. And then just feel as though you're suspended from the ceiling, from the head. You're just hanging, everything is loose, and you're just hanging. So the more you actually work the legs, the more the spine, especially the lower spine, gets stretched out because you're no longer being compressed because your feet are dancing. You're actually being held from above, so everything is stretching out. Just feel which part of the foot goes down first. You're wanting it to be that little toe, outside edge, front of the foot that goes down first. So the last thing that hits the ground is your big toe. So that will take you into the outside edges of the foot, and you'll feel it in the hands. So when you work that little toe side of the foot, you'll feel your little fingers becoming activated. That's good. And just feel the more you are able to lift the knee, the cleaner the lower back becomes. The lower back just becomes curved, a simple curve, which is what we want. Down the spine and up the front. There's this circuit going on. So your knees are with the up that's coming up in front of you. And your spine is very much embedded in the down. Feel the down chin drawing in as the lower back flattens out a bit. Good. Okay. Okay, now let's just work on this part a little bit, because that, when we get this very open, then it helps you feel the openness here a bit. So let's just start hands together and just going up and down. So start off just going just above the head. And then just gradually take it higher. So what we're trying to do here is just flatten out this part of the back, the thoracic spine. We're just trying to make that a bit straighter. So you don't want to come out of your root. So as you reach up, the actual straightness in your spine allows you to sink even more down it because it's clearer. It's like you've ironed out all the kinks by reaching up. So just up. So just allow, so it's like you're reaching up, but you're also lowering yourself down the legs, the spine, the sacrum. So I'm reaching up in order to allow my body to just really flow down that straight line of my spine. So when you're reaching up, you don't want to reach up with your tension. So I'm not doing this sort of thing. I'm not getting anxious about it. I'm just extending my mind upwards. So it's almost like it's happening by magic, because it's not really my body doing it. So something in me is reaching up, but my body is just hanging limply from this hand structure above my head. So the more I reach up, the more I can just let myself wriggle and sink down. Let's try it with one hand, because it's often easier to feel if you just reach with one hand. Yeah? So you're just hanging limply. It's like you put your hand over a bar or something and you're just holding on and just letting your body just be floppy. And then down, and then up here. So you're just hanging. Yeah? Let the spine tilt in order to get this clean line through the arm. Yeah, so your cervical spine, the neck and everything can just get out of the way, because the arm joins on to the spine in the middle of the thoracic spine. So it's only the part of the spine beneath that that we want to be a continuation of the arm going down to here. So just let yourself, yeah. So you're just hanging, imagine you're drunk and you just got one hand over and you don't quite have control of your body. So you're a little bit woozy, giddy. Yeah. Now, if you were to hold a bar here, if you did have a bar, or just a handle hanging from the ceiling, and you did actually hang, what would strike you is just how much you swung forwards here. because we don't realise it, but whenever we use our legs to support ourselves, we're always pushing ourselves up and back simply by straightening the legs. So if you really let them go, then this will just swing right forwards. And you'll just feel a bit of a slob, which is Tai Chi. Yeah, so you're hanging from here. So the legs are just softening and just allowing this freedom of movement. So it can swing forwards, it can swing back. But if it swings back, it doesn't happen because you've straightened the legs. It's because there's natural movement. Whoa. So it's good. Okay, and now let's just try it with both hands again, but it's got exactly the same feel. It's just that it's not quite so exaggerated because the two hands tend to sort of cancel each other out a little bit. Yeah, so the left hand is wanting to turn to the right, really, and the right hand is wanting to turn to the left in this exercise, and so those turns tend to dampen each other. So just feel the spine dropping down. You really have to pull this in. So you need to keep some tension here, otherwise this will happen. That's exactly what you don't want. So this pulls in so that sacrum can drop, not your dantian dropping. Okay, now let's just take the hands up. So exactly the same, just take the hands up and then just let them split and out to the side. So here what we're trying to feel is the arms issuing from the chest. So it's energetically they're issuing from the chest. Physically they're issuing from a point on the back, just opposite this point, but not the shoulders. So we want to feel as though we don't have shoulders. The arm actually joins my body at the spine, not at the shoulder. And then back up again. And down. Again, up. Yeah, so you want to see the symmetry between what we're doing here with the arms and what we do at the beginning with the legs. So when we're working the legs at the beginning of the class, we're trying to establish the root, establish our connection with the ground, going into the ground, inviting the ground to come up into you, all from the dantian, really. So here, we're doing the same thing, but the arms are connecting to the heavens rather than the earth. But it's exactly the same principles. Yeah. So something in me is willing to lift. And what that does, it's like an invitation for the heavens to come down into me, the same way when I sank with my legs, it's an invitation for the earth to come up into me. Yeah, so this is pure connection with space, if you like, with emptiness. Whereas when we're working on this and the earth, that's pure matter, pure compression, if you like, everything pulling together. This is everything wrenching apart, but it's a force that we can work with to actually create energy. So the way in Tai Chi the upward force is normally explained is as like just gravity bouncing off the ground. So I sink down in order to spring back up. So what we have to try and feel is not simply that. That's just another aspect of gravity. And gravity operates upon your mass, upon your body. So, and it will only operate upon that. Anything that's weightless, it doesn't affect. And so the heavens are actually affecting your energy and your spirit, the weightless part of you. So we just want to feel, to wake up to the fact that outer space, the void around the earth, is trying to pull the earth apart. And it's only by virtue of the earth's gravity that it actually stays together. So I just want to feel the pull that's actually trying to lift my energy. It's not lifting my body. My body, the more I can allow my energy to be lifted, the more my body will just relax and sink. This is why we want that separation. So the important thing is just the arms connecting to the spine rather than the shoulders. So if you get that and you just wait, then so patience. So patience implies suffering. It's the same word. Patient just comes from passio, to suffer. The patient is the person who suffers. So gravity is wrenching me down. The sky is pulling me up, and I'm just suspended in the middle. And to actually get there, the mind just has to be just attentive, just vigilant and relatively quiet. So you're in the middle of this maelstrom of energies. One pulling you down, trying to get you to melt into the ground. The other one pulling you up. Trying to get you to sort of just evaporate upwards, really. And the upward is operating mainly on here, and the downward is operating mainly upon here. Now, what's interesting about it is that the release inside that allows you to drop down and connect energetically with the earth is exactly the same release that enables you to connect with the one above. Yeah. So if we don't get this balance between gravity and like anti-gravity, if you like, then we cannot sustain anything for any length of time. We can release to gravity, but instantly we'll come back up again. Yeah. So if we want to get the down, we need to find the up, which can balance that so that I can stand as though still, but I'm being ravaged by these forces that are actually trying their best to tear me apart. So something in you has to really congeal and harden up, tighten up to actually bear that. So now let's go back up again. Yeah, so this exercise it's the closest to prayer, like physical prayer, that we come to. You're just connecting with what's above you from the heart. So lifting the heart and the mind to God in the absence of thoughts. So think of the Maganda bead, the Star of David. So there you've just got two triangles that are superimposed. So you've got the Earth triangle, which is just like a pyramid. So when I'm standing like this, I look like a pyramid. Yeah. And then you've got the inverted triangle, which is me connecting to the heavens. Yeah. And they're actually superimposed. So it's like, when you practice, you become a Star of David, you become that six-pointed star. So we're trying to just flatten out the upper spine. Like a ballet dancer, they strive to get a flat back so that this can be really proud. So it's exactly the same here. And John always used to say that if he'd had his time over again, then the one thing he would have studied when he was a kid was ballet. Because they've got tremendous roots and legs, but they've also got this extremely expressive upper body that's actually sending energy up and out all the time. So they just have healthy spines. They've got an upper spine that is willing to let go upwards, and they've got a lower spine that's willing to let go downwards. Okay. And now let's just bring it back to here. And now just feeling the legs the same way we felt the arms. So the arms, we felt them issuing from the back and the chest, from this point really, the heart. So so the energy has to somehow get through the shoulder. Most of us have tense shoulders, which means when we use the arms, we're using it from the shoulder rather than energetically from the heart. So this is what ballet dancers have. You see them when the men walk on and they're like this. Yeah? They've just got these arms that just come from their heart. They just can't do this. It's just be anathema to them. Yeah? So they've got these arms that are constantly swelling out from their center, from their heart center. So what we want is the same feeling in the legs, as though my legs come up and attach straight into the Dan Chen and sort of almost bypass the hips. Yeah? So when we're down in a posture like this, it's actually easy to see, because you can see how the legs just project upwards into the Dan Chen. But when we're standing like this, it's more difficult. Yeah? So somehow this angle, as soon as this becomes too great an angle, it blocks the energy. So just allowing the knees to spread. Now, what do I need to do to actually open this up? Basically, you need to release in the sacroiliacs. So across the lower back. So the only time we normally have relaxed sacroiliacs is when we have a shit. Yeah? So it's that thing of just releasing and letting something come out of you just releases right across the back. So it's a bit like that. It's a bit like you're relaxing to let something drop out of you. And so you have to tighten the perineum so you don't actually have an accident. But, so we're just trying to get the legs operating from the Dan Chen rather than from the hips. Yeah? And now let's just tip it. So just tipping over. Try not to move this too much. I don't want to move the down shin. I just want to tip over onto my side. So what do I need to release in the leg to allow that to happen? So what I don't want is just to push myself over the leg like this, because then my down shin is moving. I don't want it to move, I just want to tip it over. So what needs to happen is this joint really needs to fold in order to allow that tip. That's it. And then back up again. And then just softening into the joint. Okay. That's it. So if I want my head to move in that direction, but I don't really want any net movement of my body, then there needs to be a movement in the other direction, and that's here. So my head is moving this direction, but this is actually moving that direction, albeit only a small bit, because the pivot point is here, not in the middle. So just feel the part of you that has to yield, that has to give and receive in order for this action to happen. So I just have to release here. That's it. So I come up and then here. And so you're folding. And so folding is fundamental in Tai Chi. So here, ending. That's it. Yeah, so it's very much like yoga, when you see them doing a bend, then they actually really concentrate on the part where the fold is. So they really empty that part, so they'll often bring their energy right up, so they empty here so that they can get a deeper fold. Yeah? So it's all the same here. So this place here where my fingers is has to empty. That has to empty to allow me to fold into it. That's it. And then one. And one more either side, so just letting something here lift so that this can fold, and just folding over. And same thing here, so. Okay, and now let's just bounce a little bit. Yeah, so every time we bring it back to here, just try and notice what the previous exercise has done to your body and your energy. So get the arms out. Yeah, so you're like a starfish, you know, with each of your legs trying to wriggle away from the center. So you're like a crazy starfish that's just not coordinated. So my two arms, my two legs, my head, they're all trying to wriggle away. So here I have to really clamp down. That's good. Yeah, so what do you need to relax to allow yourself to bounce naturally? So we don't want a really imposed bounce so much as something. It's almost like I'm just vibrating. There's like a wind that's hit my resonant frequency, and I've just got this sort of woozy bounce. So remember, energy tends to be irregular. So the movement of energy is random pretty much. Whereas the movement of force is very directed. You know, force is vectors, basically, so direction. Yeah. So if I'm doing this, I'm introducing a force to actually generate a bit of energy. But if I'm just standing and just releasing, then I'll just be almost toppling. Yeah. There's like just a random movement inside me. So you could sort of stand like this for a while and just watch that movement. And any irregularity is an indication that something is wrong. And so if there's directions you feel yourself not actually moving in, then you just introduce them. Yeah. So it's like curiosity. There's like a really sort of fundamental drive in the human being, in any animal, that actually makes it curious and want to sort of look at things differently. So basically it's like boredom. We don't like being bored. So something that's really boring, like standing like this, you just got to look at it and stimulate it to become interesting. What can I find in it that's just new and fascinating? Okay, and now just working this like a pump, but just very, very gently, almost like it's not really happening in your belly at all. It's more like your energy. So this is really expanding, and then this is contracting. Yeah, so as soon as we do anything with the legs or with this area, then we tend to tense the hips. The same way that when we do anything with the hands, we tend to tense the shoulders. So we're just here as we do this, you're just trying to keep the hips open. Now it's more difficult with the legs because the more open the hips become, the more the legs will hurt from the strain of supporting them. But that's just the problem. That's the problem at hand. So what tends to make the legs hurt is the fact that part of us doesn't want to sink. If the whole of you is involved in the sinking, then you're just consumed by it and you don't really feel anything. So what makes the legs hurt is the fact that there's part of you that doesn't want to do it. There's part of you that's frightened or distracted. So just again, these joints here, feeling the legs coming straight into the dantian. Yeah, so this is like an exercise where you can really feel the dantian as being the origin within your body of the legs. So we want the exercise to take us into the zone. Yeah? So the zone is just that place where you just lose the room. You only have your body and the energy in it. So you've only got the exercise, your exercising body. You're completely undistracted by anything else. I've got a student here she's got a rowing machine, one of those really good Concept 2 rowing machines. And she has a personal trainer that comes around twice a week to actually talk her through a training session on the rowing machine. And this has been going on for 10 years. She's never practiced on her own, but she's working out strongly twice a week. And she was telling me that last week, Thursday I think it was, I saw her yesterday, she really got into the zone, and she said it was just so enjoyable and so easy, and she'd never felt that before. When she finished, the instructor just said, "That's the first time you've actually rowed." Yeah. So she'd been practicing for 10 years, and finally she had a session where she actually rowed. So there's like a world of difference between doing the exercise when you're energetically propped, right, than when you're reluctant or whatever. If there's any part of you that's reluctant, it's probably best not to bother. Good. Great. And now just, again, just let it settle. And just feel that sort of natural bounce. Almost like your heartbeat is making you bounce a little bit. Okay. And now we just want to feel the leg filling up. So just going into the leg, but feeling the leg filling up with the ground up to here. Yeah. So I'm not seeing the ground as a hard surface upon which to push my stuff. I'm seeing it as something that I want to make an exchange across. So I'm sinking into the leg, but I'm feeling the ground coming up the leg into the down shin. Yeah. So it just requires me to bend the leg as I put the weight into it. And something will come up. So it's a bit like the hypodermic needle. So I'm actually injecting my own foot into the ground, but I'm sucking something up. And so there is some sort of muscular action going on, but it's quite subtle. So I'm wanting a down with my weight, but something in the leg is drawing the ground up. And then down here, and something is so I'm just putting my weight into the leg. So I'm softening the leg, but obviously if I'm not completely softening the leg, otherwise I'll collapse. Yeah? So what I'm doing, I'm trying to get the leg doing two things at the same time. So my leg is bending, but it's also straightening. And the straightening that's going on inside the bending is actually drawing something from the ground up. So I'm bending this leg, but something inside it must be straightening, otherwise I would fall down. So I'm bending and sinking, so my weight is just flowing over and down this leg, but the leg is actually pushing against that, but very gently. So I'm not pushing against it so strongly that it makes my body move. I'm pushing at it just strong enough to get it to send energy up from the ground. Yeah, so here, so I'm sinking into the leg, but I'm actually within that, I'm straightening it. So it's almost like the flesh on the outside is sinking down, but something inside the bone is trying to straighten. Yeah, so this is pure Tai Chi, this. So this is just Taoist. You're melting, sinking, bending, yielding, but at the same time you're drawing energy up for your attack. That's the wow, something's coming up through me. And so this is what's difficult, is getting those two movements against each other within the same part of the body. So the body's sinking down, but my leg pushing up through that, and then you can see it can get all the way to the top and get all the way to the hand. It just depends upon how clear those pathways are. So down and something is squeezing up through there. If you just wriggle it up, and up it's come. And then you can see if you can keep those two going, if you can keep the relaxation and this going, then you can sustain it for a little more than just a release. So I'm just relaxing into this leg, but within the leg. Yeah. So you have to be able to hold two moods at the same time. So the mood of relaxation is just of letting go, flopping down on the sofa after a hard day's work. So the mood of actually straightening up from the ground is the opposite of that. What do you do to actually pull yourself out of the sofa? You just generate a bit of interest for the next moment, a little bit of spirit, and up you'll come. So here we have to have both of those operating together. So part of me is just flopping down, but another part of me is extending upwards. So the up on this side is only happens because I've sunk down into the leg in order to generate this flow from the ground coming up inside me. So again, it's like a spring. The important point is that all of these states are a balance of two extreme states. And so as soon as I allow these two states that I'm in, the relaxation and the thrust, to actually congeal and just become a set position, then I've lost it. So that's what I call freezing. That's just and for your mind to wander, you have to freeze. So if you find yourself frozen, then the chances are your mind has wandered, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You just need to bring it back. Okay, now let's just go back to here. So let's just try one of these again, just to get the arms out. So when the arms are out, it's very much like the shoulders have come over something. Yeah? So we don't want to just bring the arms up like that, because this is just this with the hands pulled up. So you're still operating from the shoulders. So we want to get the arms to come from the chest. So first of all, we bring them up and over. And then without interrupting this too much, we just bring the arms round a little bit. So it's still flowing from here into the arms. My arms are issuing. My hands are issuing flows of energy. So just feel that inverted triangle, of the Star of David. So you've got a triangle here. Yeah, so the top of the triangle, the flat top bit at the top is really your head. So your head is actually expanding more than anything here. It should be. Yeah, so you have to really be able to trust this, to just let your head explode. And just open out. It's almost like someone's sawn the top of your skull off. I think, whoa, there's this emanating light the light of consciousness that just beams out. Yeah, so that's it. In a sense, that's why we work. I mean, the work is just what we do to become more and more conscious, more and more aware. And people say, why should I want to do it? Why should I want to become conscious? Well, and the thing is that if you look at yourself and you look at the way your life has panned out, then you'll realize at the bottom of it all, the back, there's a basic force, that there's a drive which is wanting to understand. It's wanting the truth. So it's more fundamental than your sex drive. So something in you is just yearning for openness and for awareness. So this whole area is just spreading open into my hands. And this is the tight vertex that's actually turned upside down. Think of Christ on the cross, and he died like this. It's quite amazing, really. It's a beautiful image. And then up. Yeah, so this is the chimney. So here I use this just to concentrate on the heavy sacrum, trying to pull out the lower back. Because this does tend to flip the bum out, so you just tighten the belly and just let the sacrum relax down. And trying your best to keep your knees out, so don't let the knees collapse in. Yeah. And if it gets difficult, just sing. And then back down. And let's just bring the feet up. Again, slight bend in the legs and the knees out. So never let the knees collapse in. Okay.